Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Jodo cast. This is episode 86, I think. Probably. Alright. And I am it up already. And I'm not the voice you're used to listening to. Rather, Evan is not with us tonight, unfortunately. So instead you just got me, Leo, and Joe over there.
That's me.
And so tonight, well, we'll just start off with Joe. What have you been playing lately?
I've been playing a lot of Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which continues to be the best Star Wars game on modern platforms. Took me a lot. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to playing it, but it's definitely incredibly enjoyable.
Isn't that kind of a sad realization that it's really the best game, Star Wars game, video game we've gotten in years?
A little bit, but I mean, it's also a great game. If it was like a bad game that was the best game, that would be even sadder, but it's a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it's a good game, but it just, I don't know, it seems somehow disappointing that it's a Lego game that is the best game. I mean, not to denigrate the Lego games in any way, because, I mean, generally speaking, they're all fairly high quality and enjoyable to play. But it still just makes me sad that we don't have a quote-unquote real game to be the best game.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've actually played any Battlefront since the last time I recorded.
Are you an Emperor main? You can't play?
I never play. I don't understand how... He's always been like overpowered in the game, and whenever I try him, I die in like 5 seconds, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's okay the way it is, because apparently he's not so powerful that anybody can just pick him up, or maybe I'm just really that bad with him, but I haven't played in about a week.
Yeah. Well, didn't they remove him because like his lightning was like killing people through walls and stuff? And
that was an issue that I thought they had fixed before. Maybe they didn't fix it. I don't think they actually explicitly said why they removed him, but just kind of talking about this reminds me of an article actually that's I think Evan posted in the Discord with and in it some EA person, I forget what her name was kind of talking about the process of approving the different projects for the different studios they have. And she's talking about how, we have to run down, they all have to make their pitch, and then we kind of have to run down the list, and make sure we're not going to be making Jedi games from every studio. I support that. That's fine. And then she goes on to say that, and we got to space it out. We don't want to be putting out 4 Star Wars games in 1 year. And I was just like, why would you not want to do that? Right.
And so I went back.
Do you think they would know, even with these 2 games that have been widely regarded as well below great, they've made a ton of money with these games because it says Star Wars on it.
Yeah.
You think the more of those you could pump out, the better.
And not just from them. Like, I don't know who they feel like they're protecting by not putting out 4 games a year. Like, I went back and I looked at what games came out when, and like almost every year in the 90s and almost every year in the first decade of the 2000s, there was at least 4 games a year. I mean, not every year. There was a few where we only got 2 or 3, but for the most part, there was 4 or more every year. And you know what? I didn't feel like I was overwhelmed by any means.
Stupid EA.
Yeah, I think that just should just. I mean, I think it also shows how giving one studio exclusivity like that is,
or one publisher
is not helping anybody.
Right. So yeah, I also have not played any Battlefront. Might shock you, but I didn't find time to play any of this since we last recorded.
I've also played Legion, which you have played. Apparently, I'm first place in our league, which is weird.
Well, good job. I also have just been playing Legion. I don't know what place I am. I've won all my games so far, although one of them was a bye, so it wasn't really a very satisfying win. I'm mostly excited for I have one more game tomorrow night, and then it's so that's my last game of this particular league. And then we're finally going to, I believe, get into some play with the recruitment kit. My store finally got them in. Like they got hosed and didn't get any in the initial shipment. So
which one is the recruitment kit? Is that the one with the coins?
Yeah, that's the one with the coins. The very first OP kit that they had. So I'll finally get to play through some of those scenarios and get my little metal coins and my alt art cards. Although I'm actually looking forward to to playing through some of the stuff in the Season 2 kits a little bit more, because there's the escalation operation for that looks really cool, because the final round of the escalation operation has you have a 1,000-point army instead of 800. So
I wonder if I could even reach 1,000.
Better get buying. Let's see. I think you've still got.
Well, I could do it because
you got to wait till the end of August before.
My standard army consists of Luke, Leia, 4 Rebel Troopers, 1 Fleet Trooper, and 2 ATRTs. The only thing I have that I'm not fielding is my airspeeder. So if I throw that in, I'm already, that's like 150 points. So I can easily do 1,000, and then I would be fielding every single unit that I have for Rebels. I just have to actually give Luke and people more upgrades than they usually get. Our league, so I don't feel bad like criticizing the store. We had a first league when the game first came out. It started probably like a couple weeks after the game came out. Nobody has seen prizes for that league yet. We had an escalation tournament, which was a lot of fun, and we got the recruitment kit stuff, and everybody got like 3 of each alt-art cards and 2 of each coin, which blew me away. And I was like, that was fantastic. That was great. And our current league has like 7 players, and we don't know. There's been no information about prize support. So it's really weird, and it's kind of annoying, because there are still some of us who are showing up, enjoying Legion, having fun playing with each other, having fun playing at that store because it's a great space, and it's like, can we just know what the prizes are going to be? Because this is really annoying. And can we maybe get prizes for the league that happened, a month ago?
Yeah, see, like my first league I played in, we didn't actually have any prizes, but it was also just free too. He was just kind of like, hey, let's get together and learn the rules here before the recruitment kit gets here, because at that time he didn't know that he was getting shafted by his distributor and not actually getting any recruitment kits. So he's all like, let's just do a fun little couple-week-long league here and everyone learn the rules and stuff.
That sounds nice. Our first league was, I think, 8 weeks, and it was $10. And the current league, I think, is supposed to be 8 weeks and was $20. So, I'm expecting to get my money's worth. Well, I'm honestly not expecting it, but I'd better.
$20, especially if you don't get any prizes, that would be
right.
lame.
Well, for me, all I would want or expect, and honestly anything beyond this would actually probably annoy me, and I might be alone in that, is official promo items, just Legion products, or store credit. Anything else, I don't know. I'm not interested. Like third-party tokens, I probably wouldn't want those because they'd probably be ugly. Because I'm picky about my third-party tokens, things like that.
Yeah,
that's really all you need for a league is the official promo stuff from the kits, store credit, or just products of the game of the league you're running. That seems like
third party command or order tokens are illegal.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, it's right in the tournament rules. There's one guy in our league who has those. I've been hoping to get to play against him, just so I could be like, you can't use those, just to mess with him, because he's always kind of one of those like rules stickler guys. Mm-hmm. So
nice. I've only seen one person using them, and they were not very good looking. As long as the dorky little coin capsules aren't illegal, I'm set.
I don't see why those. Yeah, I don't see why those would be. I mean, you're still using the original. As long as you haven't somehow marked the coin capsules.
No, I actually really like them. I was like, is this necessary? It's really not.
It's not.
But it's a lot more satisfying to shuffle and pull out of your bag when they're all clunky and clinky.
I'll just wait till they have some official acrylic ones as some kind of prize support.
Well, they got to get through all the metal ones first.
They're not, because
no.
So I've realized recently they're not actually like the order tokens for a commander. They're just meant to be like the tokens that denote the commander of your army. Like if your commander dies and you have to promote.
Oh, really? Those little metal coins are just supposed to replace that cardboard, that one token from the core set that rarely ever sees play.
Yeah. As far as I know. Otherwise, it seems really weird. Like that makes more sense to me than them actually being like an order token.
But they're designed like it. They'd have that little because it doesn't look anything like that token. It looks exactly like the order tokens.
That's true. I don't know.
But also, it's going to be impractical if they roll one of these out every few months, and you need, who knows how many of them if you want to have your full set.
Yeah. You would have thought if they were going to actually have that be an order token, Season 2 would have been the next one. They would have had a couple core units. I mean, that's the other thing is like for a core, you need what? 3 minimum. At least, hopefully 6, if not more, for when you're playing larger than 800. So it just, I don't know. If the intent is for it to actually be the order token, it seems like it's a really impractical way they're going about doing it, and it makes more sense to me to use it as the commander designation token.
Yeah, but Organized Play doesn't have the best track record at releasing actual practical items. For the first 3 years of Imperial Assault, if you wanted a full set of these dice, like the first regionals had 2 colors, then a year after that the regionals had 2 colors, and then the year after that the regionals had 2 colors, and it wasn't until after that where they did a full set in the regionals.
That's weird. Speaking of OP prize support, man, those X-Wing dial covers for the Coruscant Invitational look awesome.
Oh yeah, those are fancy. That'd be cool if those become more of a thing that they do, at store champs or whatever they're called now.
Yeah, but I think we're getting a little afield now. I think we should swing back to Legion, because that's kind of going to be our topic for tonight. So I think it's been a little while since we've really talked about just Legion. We've been on video games and Gen Con stuff for a while, but there's all kinds of new and exciting stuff that's been happening with Legion lately, not the least of which is that today finally an updated rules reference came out.
Yup. And
this
did it.
Sorry, what?
Clear? I don't know if you looked on the official forums. They have an official thread where they'll put rules things that are considered like officially in play.
Yeah.
Did all of those make it into this new update? I didn't actually compare.
I guess I didn't compare myself, but most of the stuff that I do know that was in there is also in this. I mean, especially some of the big ones like the updated explanations on how cover works. Right. A little bit, better explanations on
compulsory moving and things like that.
Yeah, compulsory movements, and like rallying and suppression. Like what happens if you get a suppression then in the middle of your activation and some stuff like that.
Right. And a lot of stuff just relating to units that aren't out yet.
Yeah, like better explanations for, all the stuff, with Han and the commandos that are coming out next month. So like the gunslinger, the low profile, the scout keyword, all those have been added into the game now with their official rules text and whatnot, as well as just things for some of the other more explanation on how the mines and charges are going to work, say, with like the minefield condition that's actually coming out tomorrow, that priority supplies set.
Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm probably not going to pick it up right away. I want the new cards. I like the crates. I don't really need the moisture evaporators right now since I don't play at home. I've got one piece of traveling terrain. That's enough right now.
I don't know. I had got mine pre-ordered, so I'm actually I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow before my league game. So I'm hopefully gonna get to throw those cards, the new deployment, the new condition and stuff out to play with here for my league game tomorrow night, and give those a try.
I'm curious to see how those go. I don't even remember what they are. Except I think the objective has to do with the moisture evaporators, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah. One team is trying to sabotage the moisture evaporators, and the other team is trying to defend and repair the moisture evaporators.
Interesting. Stop it! This is my livelihood.
And then
just thirsty.
Yeah, and the condition card is the minefield condition. And
so the condition can put these little bombs on the map, but also the saboteurs and I think the scout troopers are able to put these things on the map too?
Yeah, they'll be able to place charges on the map. I mean, we still don't know exactly how they're going to be able to place them. Well, but there's the...
I think it said you put it within range 1 of the unit leader.
Yeah, basically...
And it has to be, flat.
Well, yeah. So you couldn't have it, leaning up against the side of a building or something ridiculous like that. But
you should just be able to, you should be expected to put sticky tack on it so you can slap it on anything. Slap it on an ATST that's walking by.
But yeah, that's with I believe with the ARM keyword or ARM. So it'll be like ARM X, which will tell you how many
of the bombs,
how many they can place, and then it'll also have a charge type because there's going to be different types of charges.
Right. Is one just it goes off if anyone gets near, and the other one the unit that has a detonate keyword has to take an action to detonate bombs?
I think, it's going to depend on which one. But they have to have it's going to have the charge type in the detonate keyword. Yeah, so we've got that. And then they just sort of basically talked about when they blow up. That was one thing people weren't sure about, was do you just roll your dice once and then it does that to everything? No, you actually make a separate attack roll for each eligible target when it detonates.
Yeah, and it's basically just at range whatever of the token.
And in line of sight. I think that's really some of the major
I don't think we need to dissect each change. I think a big one was area terrain got some more clarification.
Yeah, I mean basically, they just sort of clarified, to remind people that it's basically a big cylinder, essentially, in the shape of the base of the terrain that is as tall as whatever the tallest bit of the terrain is.
And all the junk on there doesn't really matter.
You don't necessarily worry about true line of sight when dealing with area terrain. I think the only other really big change I noticed when I just read through it earlier was the fact that they did change the amounts of units allowed in Grand Army. They kind of pumped up the numbers so you can have more units in your Grand Army. Of each.
They didn't change the point values though?
No, it's still 1,600 that I thought I saw, but yeah, they basically they just increased. Like now you can have, I think, up to 4 heavy vehicles. I think you used to only be able to have 3.
I think the other things that are big changes worth noting have to do with command cards. They detail exactly how you're supposed to deal with command cards belonging to operatives, which is just that, if you played Boba Fett's card, you get to choose Boba Fett as being issuing the orders for that turn, but otherwise Boba Fett can never, you can't use him to issue orders.
Yeah, unless he gets promoted up to being the commander. When your actual commander dies,
right?
In that situation,
it looks like they added a step in the command phase called issue orders. It's at least the bold text by number 3.
Yeah, no,
issue orders.
Issue orders was always in there. I think they just
wonder why that's red then.
Just because they changed. They changed exactly how it's worded. But there's so beyond the new rules, we've also been seeing some new units a while ago here back at the beginning of June. So I guess by now it's been almost a month, but we haven't really talked about it. There was 2 new types of units, emplacements that came out. For the Imperials, they get an E-Web blaster team. And the Rebels get an Atgar turret, which is one of those ones from Hoth. Looks kind of like a satellite dish with a laser in the middle. They're both, well, first of all, I think the models for them both look really cool, especially the Atgar turret.
Yeah, that one's on a bigger base too than the E-Web.
Yep.
It looks like anyway.
But it is one thing that is interesting about it is stationary. So it just sits wherever you place it.
You can write on it?
It sits. Yes, yep. You dictate a letter onto it and mail it off. No, it's so once it's placed, it stays there.
Yeah, that's gonna be what makes people never want to use that if that's extremely prohibitive.
Yeah, but at the same time, it can shoot 5 black dice with impact 2, range 1 to 4, which is awesome.
Range 1 to 4 is a pretty big distance, but if you're playing with a lot of terrain, like you should be, and like I like to do, you might not have any line of sight beyond, range 2 or 3 unless you get in a real good spot.
Well, when you're kind of setting up the table, I would say try and make sure you have something tall, and you can try and make sure you have something tall in your deployment zone to put it on top of, or you find a lane to put it in and basically lock down that lane, especially if that happens to be overlooking an objective. It converts for hits. It also converts on for blocks on defense. It's got a new ability called Sentinel, which increases its standby range to 3. So the standby action gets slightly less bad, since you can trigger it now at range 3 with this guy. But yeah, I think it's really going to depend on the map you're playing on and how you place it, because it's 70 points with no upgrades, so that's a a fair amount of points right there to be investing in something, and so if you are not careful and not thinking when you're deploying this guy at the beginning of the game, you could be screwed before you even start. That being said, one thing is that new condition or the new deployment in the priority supplies that's coming out tomorrow has, if I remember right, when you deploy, what is it? Everyone gets Scout 1 and loses the keyword stationary, which means after you deploy, they get to make a range 1 move, which gives you a little bit more flexibility in how they get deployed.
Yeah, and I think people playing this might also be shooting for rapid reinforcements a lot, so then you can get it really wherever.
Yeah, that is very
assuming
true.
the enemies aren't spread out a bunch, because it's like keyword or whatever is emplacement trooper, which the new rules update clarified counts for anything that calls for a trooper.
Yeah, it's basically a trooper subtype.
Yeah.
Now the E-webs, on the other hand, can move
slowly.
They only have a speed of 1, and then they also have the keyword plodding, which means they can only perform 1 move and activation. So you can never double move with the E-web.
And they've got reposition though, which sort of either before or after, not both, you can do a full pivot before you or after you move.
Yeah.
So at least you can twist around before you pick up and go.
Yeah, that does help.
I'm
a
surprised
little bit.
It doesn't have cumbersome, because to be honest, that turret with a giant battery plugged into it looks a lot more cumbersome than the rocket launcher trooper as far as not being able to shoot and move in the same activation.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like if they had cumbersome and plotting,
right. Well, that would be one or the other.
That would be. Actually, the E-web weapon does have cumbersome. It does.
Yes,
so if you
right,
move, if you move, you can't fire the big turret.
You could shoot with the guy's E11s.
Yep, they can still shoot their E11s though on a turn that you move.
The E-web only reaches range 3.
Right. And also if you want to give your E-web impact like the Akar turret has, you do have to take an upgrade, which it's an exhaust upgrade that will give your E-web impact for that one attack, at least until you
impact 1
until you refresh it.
Yeah. So it looks like the E-web is definitely kind of catered more towards cutting down troopers, and the Atgar is kind of for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The E-web's dice pool is a little less good too.
Red, black, black, white, white.
Yeah.
As opposed to 5 blacks. Yeah.
Yeah. It does surge for crits rather than hits though, which is nice. So that kind of helps if you don't, even without having impact, the fact that you get to surge for crits kind of helps mitigate that a little bit. But all around, they're both really cool. It does kind of stink. It does kind of stink though that the Akar turret comes with Hoth troopers, since there's no other Hoth troopers in the game, so you'll just have this one unit looking all out of place with the rest.
I mean, if you paint them differently, I don't think it'll look that out of place, because honestly, besides the scarf type thing on their hat, on their headgear that goes around their cheeks, their outfits don't look that much different than the standard Rebel Troopers.
Yeah, not too much.
Basically, from the neck up, they look like they're from Hoth. If you,
by the same token, the E-webs come with the snow troopers. It would be kind of cool if they would have. I mean, it would increase the cost a fair amount, but it would have been kind of cool if you could have got them with different minis to include with the weapons, but
Yeah. And I'm sure as soon as they come out, people will be mixing and matching with their existing troopers.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people modding them up and stuff, and that should be fun to see.
So if you listened to the last episode, when Evan and I were laying out our predictions for Gen Con, we both thought that Palpatine was not going to be coming to Legion for a long time.
Man, you guys are so wrong.
Because it seemed silly to us that he'd be running around with those troops. Sillier than it does in Imperial Assault or, I guess, Battlefront and other games. Or, like, any other game that he's in.
But, yeah, so the Emperor and also Royal Guards were announced here the other day for Legion as the next set of Imperial units. But if I had been on the episode, I would have been right along with you guys. I did not think, the Emperor would be in the game this soon. I also didn't think Boba Fett would have been added into the game as soon as he was either. But, here we are with that. I was definitely naysaying all the Boba Fett predictors.
So we're not good at predicting Legion products.
Apparently not.
Although I will be very surprised if the next wave does not include Chewbacca as an operative.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That seems like a given.
Yeah. But now that we've said that, it's going to be Nia Nub. And
that'd be okay, because he'd be like a sniper.
And also the Max Rebo band. It's always what
as like a faction neutral one.
Yep. Yeah, you put them out and they play their music and they give all troops within range 3 a morale boost.
Well, right, they would have what does Leia and Veers have? Inspiring? It would be that, but like Inspire 10 or something. And maybe some other way to keep them from panicking as well. Like they have a infinite courage value, and they're counted as a commander when it comes to checking courage stuff.
That would be ridiculous.
And that's about it.
So Palpatine seems like he is gonna be a beast. He is expensive as hell, much like Vader. It's a little hard to read his card because they haven't given us a full picture of the card yet, but
right,
it looks like maybe 240 or 210. It's hard to say exactly.
It's definitely 200 something.
Yeah, it's more points than Vader.
Which, I mean, he looks crazy, so maybe people will play him. A lot of people dumped Vader as soon as Veers came out just because he was so expensive, but
yeah, but he's speed 1, much like Vader, but he can't attack and move in the same action like Vader, which
he is not relentless,
which makes him significantly less mobile. Mm-hmm. His only attack is Force Lightning, which is 2 red, 2 black, 2 white. It's interesting
with
that
Pierce 2 and Suppressive.
Yeah. So if he does get in range, he's definitely going to be just wrecking someone's day. The Force Lightning can be used in melee or ranged, or as up to range 2, so that's cool. One of his abilities is pulling the strings. That's an action he can take that lets you choose a friendly trooper and have them perform a free action, a free attack action or a move action, which basically means even though he might not be able to get up in range, he can basically be giving other troops extra attacks. Sure, they can only make one attack during their activation, but with Palpatine doing this, that's not during their activation. So taking another attack action doesn't really matter.
He's got 5 health, which is
not bad.
That's what Leia has, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He's got 4 courage. See, the courage value is what weirds me out, just from a thematic standpoint. Gameplay, I'm sure it's fine. Leia should have infinite courage. Palpatine should have infinite courage. He has courage 4, so he's almost never going to get panicked.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have 8 suppression tokens on him.
If you got that many people shooting at him, I don't know,
he's probably dead by that point.
Yeah, he's not.
It's more the courage value on your commanders is more for what does it do for your other troopers,
right? How much are your guy going? Hey guys, it's all right to keep you. Don't freak out. It happens to my guys a lot. They're like, oh crap, and then Leia and Luke are on the other side of the board. They're like, crap, those guys are going to run away on us. We should have been over there babying them.
There's a new thing called Entourage. His ability, it's Entourage Imperial Royal Guards, which basically says you can ignore the rank restrictions for 1 unit of Royal Guards in your army. So, Royal Guards are special forces, which means normally you'd be able to have, 2 of them in your army?
Yes, so, I think you're only allowed 2 special forces.
But with this, it would technically allow you to have 3 if you wanted. Now, Royal Guards are not cheap. I mean, I think the base for them is 75.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you had 3 of them in your army, that right there is, a lot? 225? Plus 200 for Palpatine. That's well over half your army.
That'd be a real cool army. I don't know if it'd be any good, but it'd be real cool to see.
But at the same time, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be all 3 of your special forces would not have to be Imperial Guards. I mean, maybe you have 2 Scout Trooper units, but you still want to have a squad of Royal Guards in there. This lets you.
Yeah.
But so the biggest thing is, the other thing is the fact that you also then get to, during your command phase, you just always get to issue an order to a friendly Royal Guard at range 1 to 2.
Regardless of what command card you've played.
Yes.
That sounds really good. So do you think people will ever play one without the other? Like Palpatine without any Royal Guards and vice versa? Palpatine seems a lot more dependent on Royal Guards than they are on him.
Yeah.
And he's got 50% of his text space dedicated to saying, hey, you should bring Royal Guards along. Royal Guards, don't have anything that says Palpatine on their card.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, Palpatine, the biggest, it's not so much the Royal Guards as the pulling the strings ability. The fact that he can basically order other characters to take an action. Like, that's why I enjoyed playing Gideon in Imperial Assault when we played through the campaign. Was him being...
You like bossing people around?
Uh-huh, yeah. There's so there's that, and then also his command cards, at least the 2 we've seen so far. One's called And Now You Will Die, which just says during...
Sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. It just says, during your activation, you may suffer a wound and gain a suppression to perform an attack.
And you can do that any number of times.
Yes, any amount of times. Plus, there's also a force upgrade called Anger that says... That he comes with, that says whenever you suffer a wound, 1 or more wounds, gain an aim token. So you get to make an attack. So you take a wound and you get to make an attack with an aim token. And I mean, basically, when you play this command card, you're essentially going to probably wipe out whatever it is that you're targeting.
Yeah, you don't. If my opponent hasn't played that card yet, I'm keeping my important people as far away from him as I can get. The thing is, the later in the game your opponent hangs onto that card or you hang onto it, the more likely it is Palpatine will have taken damage, and the more damage and suppression already on him, the harder it is to use that card. Since it hurts you and gives you suppression tokens, you don't want to kill yourself. You don't want to like put yourself at 1 health left. Maybe you do if you need to, but I think it's a really cool card because you can just obliterate something. But I got a feeling a lot of times you're going to be like, I can't really afford that cost right now.
Well, see, that's the thing is that's why you run him with the Imperial Guards.
Oh yeah.
As part of it, the Imperial Guards have Guardian 2. Okay, so which means they can basically absorb or attempt to absorb two hits on another friendly trooper.
Oh man, I just noticed something. I'll bring it up when we get to Royal Guards.
Okay, so that way they could absorb the hits that are coming at the Emperor as long as they stay within range of the Emperor. Plus, they're disciplined, so whenever they get in order, which is going to be frequently, or basically always, if they're by Palpatine, since he's got that
entourage thing.
They're always going to be pulling. So they always get to remove 2 suppression tokens. Oh, and they charge too. So
they can do a move and a melee attack as one thing, like Luke does.
Yep, as long as they move into base contact with another unit.
But so the last thing we didn't talk about for Palpatine is, does he have immobilized tokens?
Oh yes, he does. His the Now You Will Die.
Oh, that also hands out immobilized tokens when you zap him with your Mega Blast?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is you could spread out your attacks around to several units nearby. So you're doing, and since it's suppressive, so you're like double suppressing and immobilizing them.
So they actually clarified how immobilized tokens work. I don't know if they did in the Boba Fett articles, but it just reduces your speed by 1.
Yep, for each token you have.
Right.
Reduces your speed by 1 down to a minimum of 0. And then it's after you've activated, at the end of your activation, you wipe them all off. I think. Yeah. It's at the end of your activation, you wipe them all off.
His 3 pip card, I think people who hate the randomness of the order system are going to like this card because it's just 3 pips, and all it says is you get to issue an order to each eligible unit. Anybody within range 3 of Palpatine's getting an order.
And I guess if you have battle meditation on them, also you could do 1 unit that's outside of range 3.
Or if you had vehicles with long range comms.
Yep. Well, and he could also take the
there's one that boosts it to range 4, right?
Yeah, I forget what the name of that command card is.
Commanding Presence or something?
Yeah, that's the one. Commanding Presence.
It should just be called Shouting. That seems really good. Especially I feel like that's going to be a good turn 2 or 3 card. Or 3 or 4. Like things are starting to happen, but you haven't lost a lot of units yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the Royal Guards, I really like the sculpts and the paint jobs in their pictures. Those look really fun to paint. But the thing that I mentioned earlier that caught my eye is I think this is the first multi-figure unit that has more than 1 health. They have 2 health. Yep. So when they take a hit, you don't drop
they're not. I mean, it's the speeder bikes have 3.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
So they'll function just like that.
Foot troopers, yeah. So I guess it doesn't matter. Are you allowed to? Since there's more than 2 in this, obviously with the speeder bikes, it's like okay, you have to kill the other dude before you can kill the leader. This one, are you forced to put 1, 2, 1, 2 on all these guys, or can I put 1, 1, 1 and spread it out around them?
I'll have to double check on that. I mean, it also partially depends on
line of sight and stuff.
Yeah, line of sight. So I mean, obviously, so you can't be applying wounds to any guys that you don't have line of sight on. But I thought there was some rules that, like, if there's a wounded guy in the unit, that's the one. If he's an eligible target, that's the one you have to put the wounds on. I believe. I don't.
That's probably the case because in the spread there are only 2 damage tokens, which, if they expected you to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 token on each guy, trying to make them live as long as possible, they'd have given you more tokens. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'll find out the answer to that soon enough.
So
the sculpts are just really cool.
Yeah, they are really cool. Their heavy weapons guy. The one interesting thing is it's a much smaller unit than we're used to.
Yeah,
its base is only 3 figures, and then there's an upgrade slot for one heavy unit or one heavy weapons.
Right. Yeah, there's no personnel slot like we're used to.
And he's interesting because he uses an electro staff.
Like the Magna Guards or Hondo.
Yep. But he only uses that weapon. He will not use the... So the other 3 minis have the option of... I mean, they can use their force pikes when they're in melee, but they also do have holdout blasters that they can fire at range 2 for 2 black. The electro staff guy apparently cannot take... always has to have both hands on that staff, so he does not get to use the holdout blaster.
He's just really stubborn. Like, come on, just shoot. Nope.
So yes, he is only melee. He does make the unit immune to pierce, which is very cool.
Oh, that is really cool. Because if you go rush Luke, he's gonna have a lot harder time fighting you off. These guys would ruin Luke, I think.
Yeah, because like I said, they're immune to pierce.
They hit from melee with a red-black.
Except for the electro staff, he's just black.
Just still decent. They have red defense dice. Like we said, each mini has 2 health. These guys just seem solid. I feel like the issue will be getting them in range of people, because you're going to want them hanging out with Palpatine, and Palpatine's kind of slow-moving, so I'm curious how they'll... Just covering distance and range is going to be their only problem.
Now these guys, I would say you could probably run Royal Guards without Palpatine.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like we're going to see a lot of that.
But yeah, I think if you've got Palpatine, you're probably going to slot in Royal Guards with him always. So I don't know how often you're going to see Palpatine without the Royal Guards. I don't know. I think it's going to take some playing to really test the synergy between the two of them. Like, is it worth using up that? Like, if you put the Electro Staff Guard on there, that's 100 points. Is it worth having that? Basically, you'd be losing. You'd be pulling a speeder bike out of your list or something like that, to have these guys basically hang around and babysit Palpatine until he gets into range. I don't know.
I'm excited for these guys. I'm not going to get them probably, because I've so far still been sticking with just Rebels because it's cheaper. But I'm excited to see what they do. And so this is...
I'm excited to paint these Royal Guards better than I painted yours.
They also have much, much, much more interesting sculpts than the ones in Imperial Assault.
Not that I feel like I did a bad paint job. It was just the sealant at the end when I sprayed the clear coat on it messed it up all at the end. They got all fuzzy.
So, Wave 1, Veer Snowtroopers, Leia Fleet Troopers. Next one is Han Commandos, Boba Scout Troopers. And now we've got Palpatine Royal Guards. We don't have, like, the Rebel 2, presumably. So we think it's going to be Chewbacca and what?
And a squad of friendly Ewoks.
Do we think they're going to get... Because this Royal Guards are, they have blasters, but they're kind of a melee unit. Do you think the Rebels will get an equivalent, like Wookiee warriors?
I could see that. I could see a Chewie operative and also a Wookiee warrior unit to go along with him.
That'll have Guardian 2 and things like that.
Possibly Hoth troopers. So we have some more. So there's some more troopers to match what's in that with the Atgar turret. But I feel like assuming the next Rebel wave is going to be an operative and then some kind of trooper unit, I feel like that trooper unit will probably be a special forces unit to kind of balance things out with the Imperial side.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it sometime before. It might have been last episode or whatever. For whatever reason, it seems a lot harder to predict what we might see in Legion than in a lot of the other games.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is also, we didn't have, some of this information, like operatives.
Sure.
Like when people were talking about Boba Fett, they're like, oh man, I can't wait for them to add Boba Fett in as a commander.
I thought he was coming. I thought he was just going to be a special forces unit.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I was also saying. I was like, yeah, Boba Fett will come in eventually, but he'll be maybe like some kind of special forces. He will never ever be a commander. That's ridiculous. Why would Boba Fett be an Imperial commander? That makes no sense.
Right. Well,
and then they're like, and then
there's in the Battlefront 2 2005 campaign, he does lead a complement of stormtroopers to go kill renegade clones on Kamino. So there's precedent.
Okay, fine. But yeah, for the most part, it does make no sense. But then here comes the operative unit type out of nowhere. Which, again, someone had, like you mentioned, someone had leaked that information on Reddit a few weeks before the actual announcement, and nobody believed this guy because everyone was like, the game has barely been out. They're not going to be adding a whole new unit type already, especially when we still don't even know what the Rebel or what the Imperial Special Forces unit is. Why would they be adding a whole nother unit type when the Imperials still have no special forces? And then the announcement comes out and everyone's like, holy shit, that guy was actually right. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, I was like, when the Boba Fett, and that was the other thing, like the Boba Fett and Scout Trooper announcements, I was all like, it's not going to be Scout Troopers. It's like, I was 100% convinced it was going to be Krennic and Death Troopers. But that's obviously what's going to be announced at Gen Con for, the next wave after this. So
yeah, since they announced this here, I wonder if we'll hear. We'll surely hear something about Legion there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll announce. At the very least, we'll probably learn what this next. What the matching Rebel troopers are here.
Yeah.
Kind of to go along with this quote wave, even though the Legion doesn't necessarily have waves. I mean, it sort of does, but it sort of doesn't too.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like, I understand that it's best to just push it out as fast as you can get it out, because why wouldn't you? But also, it's like, it makes the meta and the competitive scene kind of weird. Or if you're playing only one faction, then all the other people get to play with the cool new toys and you don't get any for a while.
Well, I think that kind of about covers it then for all the new stuff for Legion. I'm sure like the day we publish this, they'll put out another article with all the Rebel stuff, because that's usually how our timing goes.
Yeah. I guess we can just record our impressions of all the possible things, and then if that happens while I'm still editing, I'll just cut that in.
We'll just have like a little montage of us being all like, oh yeah, and the Chewie. I'm so glad he was finally announced. And we'll be like, oh yeah, Dash Rendar. I'm really glad he was added into the game. And what the hell was his stupid droid's name?
Lebo, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, he was significantly less stupid than Dash himself, which is saying something. But yeah, so that like I said, that basically kind of covers it here. So unless you got any other final thoughts, Joe, I think we might as well wrap her up for tonight.
I'm good.
All right. Well, in that case, bye.
Well, if Evan's listening right now, by this point he's screaming at us to actually do the housekeeping, which we neglected to do at the start of the show.
Oh, God. Oh, man, I'm the worst.
Speaking of which...
Should we do that and then splice it in at the beginning, do you think? Or
I don't know. It's kind of funnier this way.
All right.
Evan usually does this. So let's see. Our patrons are amazing. That's first and foremost the most important thing we need to talk about.
Well, that's a true story. They are very amazing.
You could go to jodocast.com and be blown away by all the different ways you can connect with us. But most importantly, you should visit our Discord server where we're talking about all sorts of stuff all the time, 24/7, nonstop. It's like the stock market.
In the middle of the night, we do have a little bit of a lull. But there's a couple Europeans that hang out on the server too. So,
it's what, like 80 people?
Yeah. Something like that.
It's a good size. It's not like if you join a sub or a Discord server for like a really popular game. It's not. I don't understand how people even go on there. It's just like a constant stream of information that is all bullshit and you don't care. Ours is a nice size where you can have meaningful conversations and really stupid conversations.
Mostly stupid.
And you can listen to us on podcast places, also YouTube. But if you listen on YouTube, which not many people do, you usually get it about a week late.
Good job, Joe.
That's the housekeeping. I'm sure Evan will be very proud.
Yeah.
I'm picturing he's face palming right now.
Yeah, he's and shaking his head. We're getting both at the same time. He's shaking his head into his palm.
Is the palm moving with the head, or is it staying in one spot?
Probably moving, because that would be sort of weird.
Right?
It'd just sort of be like rubbing your face in your palm. Then,
right, well, if your fingernails were in your scalp, then it could be sort of therapeutic.
Nuzzling your palm with your nose.
He might have just eaten a peach or something, and it just smells good. And it's just coincidence that he's doing this right as he's listening. He's actually proud of us for remembering this. We miss you, Evan. Come back.
I think that's a pretty good end to the show.